microphone works any better today. Always tweaking, always changing things, doing my best, okay. Alright, yeah, we'll give that a shot. Hello, I'm EnviroBoy. This is my channel, and it's time to do some writing. It's a Friday also, which is nice. I'm not gonna say it was a bad week, but I've had a long week. One of those weeks where it's just like every day there was stuff going on, and so, you know, with work and everything, so by the time you get to the end of it, you're like, yeah, I'm ready for a weekend. Seems about the time for it. So that's nice, and I'm not too disappointed by that at all. Let me see here. Yeah, I'm trying to keep an eye on my mic volume levels here, because I was doing some tweaking with my mic again, because I can't figure out, I can't really come to a clear understanding of why my mic just suddenly got so much quieter than it usually is. And it's I don't know, it's strange, but we'll leave it here, and then maybe when people show up they can let me know if my volume levels are all off, and we can do some tweaking and whatnot from there. I don't know. It is what it is. But I suppose, hey, Inflatable Cat, how's it going? I suppose we can go ahead and get into it here. Get to our main screen there. Perfect. Alright, so last week on World Writing, I'm doing alright. Thanks for asking, I appreciate it. So last time we had finished writing all of our like, where's my brain at right now? Hold on, it'll catch up. All of our faction leaders. That's what we were working on. We finished adding all of them, and we put a couple placeholder locations. We put a couple place locations, or placeholders for locations, I should say, in our map, and I'm still not super stoked about how not visible the labels are. I mean, you zoom in and you can see them pretty well, but yeah, I don't know what to do about it, because it doesn't really give me the option to just do like a background, you know, like a form-fitting background square or something that I can like maybe just do like a, you know, where they've got their color grading here. You can do that like in black, or do like a semi-transparent dark gray or something, just to make it stand out a bit more. But I mean, the other option is I could just clear out like the mountains in those areas and just, you know, accept that it'll look a little funky. But let me give that a shot. Let's give that a shot. If we grab just that one, because we can always just undo. If we do like that and that, or something like that, so that stands out a little bit, and that doesn't make it look too wild and wacky for our map there. And then we can like grab that one, and delete that. There we go. Alright, whoops, I need to over here. And then see, now this one is kind of tricky because there's lots of trees here. But if we grab maybe that one, there we go. See, like if we do that, that still looks kind of scenic there, right? And then let's see if we can't put in, woo, we gotta shrink that size down a little bit. Is that the same size? Yeah, that's about the same size. what we can do just to fill it in and make it look a little less dramatic there. We can do stuff like oh yeah, there we go. We could do that. And then delete that one. There we go. There, that looks pretty okay. I'm pretty content with how that turns out. That's like immediately an improvement. Because now we can zoom out a little bit here. Oh yeah, these stand out much more. These pop much better. In fact, I can even take this, put that right there, and then grab we gotta go to the labels part here, because then we can grab this one and we can just move this over a little bit, and then there we go. That is extremely visible. Yeah, no, and that doesn't look disruptive to our mountain ranges or our forests at all. So, haha, there we go. Solve the problem. Solving the problem. Just solving the problem. Sometimes it just takes fresh eyes to find the solution. Fresh eyes and a fresh brain. Definitely, there's definitely some truth to your ability to perceive what you're looking at, right, and make sense of things when you're kind of looking at it fresh rather than after having been working for an hour and a half or 2 hours on something. There's definitely something to be said about a fresh perspective. So there we go. That's awesome. All right, cool. That makes me feel really good. I like that. That immediately solves a little bit. One thing I do want to do, though, I want to grab our mountains. We can let the mountains be a little bit bigger. I'm going to add one more right there just to make that look a little less gapped, maybe is the term. Same with actually this one here. We can put one right there. I don't know if we can even maybe like tuck one right there. I guess that didn't really change a whole lot, did it? But that's okay. But actually, now that I'm thinking about it, as I'm looking at some of these, kind of want to fill those in just a smidge more. Make our mountain range look a little bit fuller in some of these areas, maybe. I mean, we're already in the process, right? We might as well take a second. Because we want the river to be visible like we're doing there. But there we go. That's good. I've just been feeling like those are a little too empty in some ways. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Look at that. Our map is getting even more beautiful by the second. That's a good creative warm-up. Good creative warm-up. But not actually what I really want to work on heavily today. What I wanted to work on today is I wanted to finally take a second, now that we've kind of got ourselves a few factions and a few bosses figured out, I wanted to take a minute, or, well, take a stream session, so at this point, in like, an hour and a half, and I want to actually start thinking about what kinds of sort of overall campaign goals and missions and targets we want to set for the players. And I want to do this like kind of in very vague terms, like we're always talking about starting foundationally and kind of adding layers onto it. We will eventually get to a very detailed point of like what each step in a mission could potentially be for players, right? We'll eventually get to that point. But I want to think about things kind of in more broad and general terms, because my hope is that we can. My hope is that we can have some ideas based on what our factions are trying to accomplish and how that might impact what the players are doing. So let me see here. There's actually, now that I'm thinking about that though, I'm going to amend that. There's one more faction that I want to make. We've got a handful of factions here. Siski Forest Drows, or the Siski Forest Drow, the High Doom Giants, High Doom Duergar, and the Goldenwind Leonins. But I want to do one more. So we're going to copy that, paste one more faction here. I want to do, I want to add the, not necessarily humans, but, like the humanoids, the enlightened individuals, the collective peoples that are sort of from this city and from, here, that really come all the way up from Fosvik that's up there. I want to add them because they're the ones who kind of give the players their mission, you know, like in a sense the players aren't really a faction. The players are more so just like a potential tool or utility for the other factions. That's kind of so that's kind of what I want to do here. I want to add them, and then from there we can do it, because really when we think about it, the most primary mission is relating to how the players interact with the other people. So if we want to pursue some missions, I think first we got to make sure we get this faction. So let's call these guys I don't want to just like say peoples of this area or whatever. Like I want them to be like a faction, but it's like the faction is going to be named after whatever the project name is. So we got to kind of think about a project name, and the project name is or the project itself. Let me pull up our world map here. So the project that these peoples is working on is they're trying to make a path or a trade route that goes all the way from up here in Fosvik down all the way to Mofafetting down there. And so I kind of want to what would they title this thing? Something like I want to go with like the trans golden, or you know, like the Golden Highway or something like that. Like they would call it like, or like the Golden Tradeway or something like that, right? And so it's like the project is building the Golden Tradeway is what they would call it, because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to establish a trade route that can go straight down here and kind of cut off some amounts of travel for massive trade routes or trade expeditions, excuse me. So let's see here. I guess I kind of like the Golden Trade Route. I kind of like that just because when I think about, like, when you try to think about like a governmental leader or something like that trying to gain support for a big project like this, you want to come up with some sort of big grand name that everyone's going to be on board with. Oh, that's right. It's the first Friday of the month, isn't it? I wonder if, hold on, I'm going to be quiet for just a second. I want to see something. Okay. All right. I can hear coming through the windows. So it's the first Friday of the month, and around here that means they test all of their emergency alert sirens that are stationed all over the city, you know, in case there's like a tornado going to come kill us all or something. And my windows are open, so I didn't know if yeah, no, it doesn't seem to be being picked up in the mic. I didn't know if the mic would pick it up because I live just like a block away from one of them, so it can get pretty noisy in here when they're testing those. I think it helps that it's pretty stormy out today, so there's a lot of other noise like rain and wind and stuff that kind of helps drown it out. But I guess that's a good sign though that I still hear it. That's what the test is for. It works. I'm hearing it. So that's reassuring in its own right. I appreciate that. But anyway, yeah, let's call this the Golden Trade Route. Golden Trade Route construction crew, I guess. Like, that's a really long name because they're not actually like a faction per se. It's not like this is a cult or anything like that. These are just the people, the workers, right? But I want to give them their rightful place as being potential mission givers and whatnot for the people. So yeah, I think that's good. So we'll call them that, and then history. So the history here, there's not going to be a whole lot for this, because like I'm filling this in mostly as a formality, but I want to make sure I actually do everything for. Gosh dang it. Okay, OneNote. Sometimes OneNote I largely really appreciate you as a tool, but sometimes, so not applicable, pre-unhinging, post-unhinging. Let's see here. As a result of the extreme dangers that have come to be in the wilds, trade routes have been limited to a singular path, that remains guarded. However, as things calm down after the unhinging, demand for a newer series, we'll say, of roads that can reduce travel times to between certain cities has grown. As a result, Fosvik has sent what's the proper term for this? Maybe an expedition or something like that. I guess this is kind of what it is. It's not like they're like literally paving a road. This is D&D. It's kind of more so like plotting it out. So, yeah. So sent an expedition forth to map out a defensible pathway to Mofefeting. Let's see here. The members of this expedition are largely just explorers and soldiers looking to establish a safe path for caravans to follow. Boom. And that's kind of what we need, really, for this one. We don't need to get too wild and crazy with everything here, because they're more so. It's like, yeah. So it's like with this. That's what this like mission thing here is like. That's kind of what the goal is just to establish, to have a place to tuck in information about missions that these guys would provide. So I'm not going to do anything else with these guys, actually. I just wanted to put that in there more than anything else as a placeholder for when we need it. So instead, I want to come back here. And then, yeah, so we're going to come back here to our overview page for the whole region. And I want to talk, and I want to, so we've kind of already got some basic ideas, and I want to start adding maybe a little bit more detail. So here's where we start doing some of the editing processes for this, right? You know, I talk about all the time doing just sort of the stream of consciousness approach to things. Don't mind me reaching here. I'm just going to turn on a fan for myself here. So I talk often about just kind of splatter stuff on the page, and then you edit it and refine it as you go. And so here we're going to do a little bit of the editing and refining. And so we've kind of already talked about the main goals and the side goals of all of this, right? And that's where we've established our, what our Durgar are trying to do, what our giants are trying to do. Oh, excuse me. Whew. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're gonna say, trade expedition crew. We just need to do, I just want to do something here. I guess actually I don't need to do anything there for the side, because theirs is the main thing, really. So we've talked about how they have some options. They could either try to kill the dragon, right, or they could try to cut a deal with him. Well, we haven't really come to any final conclusions. And one thing that I've thought about here is could cut a deal with the dragon. And we have this something else here. I really want to take advantage of the nature of dragons wanting various types of treasure and whatnot. Because I think that gives us a lot of potential to build a campaign that will encourage travel, right, for players to actually seek something out without like forcing them to have to necessarily make allies and or enemies of the Drow, Duergar, and Giants, right? Like we want to, and without just kind of railroading them and saying like, nope, you're not strong enough to fight the dragons. You just have to go do random crap until you level up enough, right? Like that's from a game mechanic standpoint. I guess there's nothing wrong with that. That's virtually what we're doing. But if you can add some actual story to that process, it'll make it much more compelling for players, make it something that they care about. So cut a deal with the dragon, and so this will be, so I want to do this as magical item hunt, almost like a treasure hunt, because I was thinking about that. And one thing that would be kind of interesting is if they wanted to do this, we could essentially try and make it so that like there's maybe a series of a series of magical items that, like, when brought together, will offer something that our dragon cares about. And so let's take a second here, actually, and go back to our Eodris page here. And let's remind ourselves what we said for him, because I forgot. Like, I have the vague understanding, obviously, of kind of what I wrote down for my character here, but like that's the best I can say about it. It's like a vague understanding of it, so I gotta refresh my memory, and I'm not ashamed of that. Eodris lives for two things in his life: to maintain balance and peace within the Goldenwind Plains, and to collect up any treasure that can teach him about life as it was before the unhinging. Even the second goal of collecting knowledge is born of a desire to understand the unhinging, and learn how, if possible at all, such an event can be avoided at all. I don't like the way that's written. Let's just do if possible. I don't even as like parentheticals, I don't want to have at all that close together in the same sentence. It just doesn't feel right. Within the region, Eodris is aware of the Duergar and the Giants that exist within the nearby mountains. Though Eodris has a strong distaste for these communities, he leaves them to their own devices, only intervening in times when one or the other grows bold and can be found in the mountain foothills, coaching on the territory of the plains. That said, part of Eodris is curious about what magical items may exist within the dark tunnels and the high peaks of the mountains. Though Eodris has heard rumors of the Drow beyond the mountains, he has little interest in things so far beyond his domain. Dragon is acutely aware of the efforts being made to establish a trade route that runs directly through his domain. He is not happy about this. Though beings build along this road have not yet caused severe problems, the establishment of a city north of the plains is concerning. Eodris is afraid that allowing... Okay, that's not related to his treasure. So really the treasure that he's interested in is stuff that will give him knowledge of the world. And so what I'm immediately thinking is we can give him something that, like, maybe there are 5 components that when brought together creates like a sentient magical item that has like all the knowledge of a massive worldly archive or something like that. Like, and he's heard rumors or heard a legend of such an item, and he wants the players to try and seek out the components of this item for him. And it's like if they if they can bring those items to Eodris, then he will say like, okay, you've provided me what I wanted, this is significant, we'll let you build your road, you know, and you can do stuff like that. And that way it'll encourage our players to go out and see the world, really. Um, so what? So now, so let's brainstorm that bit. Let's workshop that a little bit here. Because the more I think about it, the more I think that's actually going to be a really promising way to build this campaign, right? I think that I think that either option of build an army to take down a dragon or pursue items for the dragon, I think either of those are perfectly satisfactory for a a campaign. But if we provide the magical item one, like basically what we're doing is we're establishing an option that will take them to roughly the same places, whether they choose to be confrontational or choose to be cooperative with the dragon, who is the main thing there, right? And so it's like on one hand, if they choose to fight, then the boss battle comes down to, fighting the dragon, and the idea of having the armies is probably to help weaken the dragon as well as manage and take care of the Leonins that will certainly come to his aid, while hunting down the items is, while the players, to finish that thought, while the players take down the dragon himself, right? And then this one, this idea of finding the items will bring them on much more of a classic, Legend of Zelda-esque type of campaign, where it's like you must go to these, X, Y, and Z dungeon to get X, Y, and Z items, and then once those have been obtained, then you will have the power to then enter final dungeon and accomplish what you are set out to do or whatever, right? So we can kind of do that. So maybe, okay, now here, that gives me an idea. So magical item hunt. So here's what my thought is. Here's what my first thought is. Is a dungeon in the plains that contains a, we'll say like a mirror of knowledge, like it's a magic mirror or whatever. So just some sort of mirror of knowledge. Like I'm trying to think about, like, it's either like a mirror or like a prism or something that you can gaze into, and if you understand how it works, a crystal ball, something like that, where it's like you gaze into it and it can play back scenes from the past, right? So you can kind of use that as an opportunity in theory to learn from the past. But perhaps there is a series of keys of some sort, or a series of items that will provide the power needed to operate this item. So, I'm trying to think, what would be a good thematic approach to unlocking something that can let you see into the past? Because you want to, if you're gonna make a treasure hunt, you gotta make it appropriately thematic. I mean, come on now. It's the only obvious option. Yeah, so contains I kind of like the idea of it being a mirror. Like you look into the mirror and it plays back something, but if you don't know how to use it, it just stays as a mirror. Knowledge, this mirror can play back any scene from the past if you know how to operate it. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Let's say need to obtain certain items to unlock and operate the dungeon. I'm already getting really attached to this idea even more. We'll keep it there. We'll keep all of the information needed for players to try and do the whole political gaming if that's what they choose to do, to try and take down the dragon, or even just use that as different parts. But I'm immediately now thinking, like, it would almost be a fun campaign if like we establish like multiple bosses within this dungeon, and they would have to go back and forth between it. Like first they need to get 2 keys to open the doors into the dungeon, right? But then later on, then they find like there's some sort of lift that needs some sort of magical energy, so they have to find a magical energy source or something like that. So they kind of have to come back and forth, and at each stage then they're presented with a new challenge, you know, because that would be interesting, because you could almost then do something like, if the players are conniving against the dragon, you can just kind of utilize it and have it be like, maybe the dragon is making that its lair, and so if they're taking a more confrontational approach, you know, the dragon follows them around, and the dragon's after those pieces and gets it. So the final battle, one way or another, is down in that dungeon, and they either have to face the dragon, or maybe there could be some other beast that's down there that they then have to fight instead of the dragon if they choose to be in alliance with the dragon. I'm already like really into this idea, actually. I think this is a really good idea. I think this is a solid concept. Let's see here. Let's say I really like that idea. I really like that idea. Hold on. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to come down here, and I'm just going to go ahead, and so here's where we can start to really see the advantages of not committing to doing everything exactly right the first time, right? Because I'm going to set up a new thing, and I'm going to say alternative idea. And I want to hash this out for a second, so that way we can compare the 2 sets of ideas kind of side by side without having to commit to one or the other right now, right? Because if you delete one, then suddenly you got to rebuild that one if you end up not liking the new one. So alternative idea. And there is a shrine in the Golden Wind Plains. Actually, you know, I had the Golden Wind being 2 words. There's a shrine in the Golden Wind Plains that is said to possess a mirror of knowledge that can play back any scene in history so long as the viewer knows how to summon it. The dragon, I'm gonna Eodris commit to using that term, get ourselves used to thinking of all of our enemies and friends and foes and all that in on a name basis. Makes it a bit quicker and easier. Eodris wants access to this shrine so that he may learn from the past to prevent historic... I see my V key. My P and my V key are grouchy on this keyboard. I'll have to try and clean out the switches or something, see what's making them sticky like that. Let's see here. Prevent to access the shrine so he may learn from the past to prevent historic mistakes and maintain a safe and peaceful world. So that's what he's after. It's a pretty noble idea, right? So let's see, and that's just the basic thing. And so let's try doing it like this. 2 routes players can take. Now, actually, I want to add a little bit more. Additionally, Eodris is not pleased with the attempted trade route. Just add that little bit right there. 2 routes the players can take. Peaceful, which is help Eodris obtain help Eodris, let's just say, gain access to the mirror in exchange for the trade route. Or we can say confrontational. Try to stop Eodris as he tries to get the as he tries to gain access on his own to use the knowledge he can find to stop the enlightened beings from making their trade route. So it's like one way or another. So here's so we're stumbling on, and again, this is why it's always good to just do stream of consciousness, but then come back and edit things, because like a lot of ideas are kind of getting refined right now that I'm excited about. This is a good way, because it's going to save a little bit of work in terms of trying to organize and plan a campaign as well, because essentially what we're doing is we're doing the Mass Effect approach of having 2 ways to get to the same point, right? Because this is what like everyone was like super pissed about at the end of the game, those Mass Effect games, right? So like, oh, it never mattered, the ending was like the same all the way. It's like kinda, yeah, but the story you tell can kind of influence that, and that's almost what we're establishing right now. Changes the, like, we're gonna make it so that it changes the final boss to either be, they can have it either be they fight Eodris, right, if they're in confrontation with him the whole time, or they can fight some other like monstrosity that's there if they're against him. And you just don't tell the players about or like a monstrosity if they're in allegiance with Eodris. And all you do is you just don't tell your players about there being like a guardian per se. Or you can say, you can give them bits about there being a guardian, but then if they go against Eodris, they go down there and they see that Eodris has already killed off the monstrosity or whatever, right? And so then they have to fight this dragon in the mirror room, or they can fight the monstrosity in the mirror room. Either way, we get ourselves in the same place, and we can kind of have 2 pathways to get to the same ending, right? Because if they're trying to kill Eodris, right, they might be following his actions as he tries to collect up all those pieces, and it'll just kind of coincide with them traveling around to try and build up an army, right? Because all you do is you plant the items conveniently, you know, in whatever places where they would have to go to talk to these other races, to talk to the Durgar, to talk to the Drow, to talk to the Giants. Like you just give each of them, you know, one of the items that's necessary, and then probably the Leonins as well, just to make it complicated about like, okay, who are they in alliance with, and yada yada yada, right? And so you just do that, and so they could either be going there in an attempt to make allies, or going there to collect the items, and then again just to give them stuff to do, because if they're making allies, they wouldn't necessarily have to go to whatever dungeon you might hide a treasure in. You then just make it so that the whoever they're talking to, you know, whether it's the Drow King or whatever, you know, they want them to go to that same dungeon. So you kind of write in 2 reasons that they could want to go there, you know, and it's like they could learn from the different like heads of the Durgar, of the Drow, whatever. They could learn that the items that they're trying to get that'll activate or open up the dungeon to get to the mirror, right? Like that dungeon, like maybe whatever dungeon is there also holds this item, or you just change the item that's necessary, and the dragon himself is going elsewhere but in those regions, so they might still have the occasional encounter, right? So I'm really thinking that this is probably going to end up being a pretty good approach. Oh, excuse me. Both routes take players to same spots. But depending on the route, they will encounter different enemies and attitudes, right? So it's like you just put in, like there's within the dungeon, there's 2 different bosses based on who they're, in alliance with. Put down 2 different potential treasures based on what they're after, all that kind of stuff. So I think that works. I think that'll work. I think we can make this work really well. Let's see here. So now let's think about. Let's look at our map. And one of the best. Well, of course, naturally. If we're gonna have them go on a treasure hunt type of quest, you have to diversify the locations of whatever treasures they need to get, right? So we've got one up here with the runts, the runts of the giants up there. We've got one underground with the Durgar. We got one in the forest over there, and they kind of start over here, right? And so maybe we plant one more like over here, or maybe one more goes in the lake or something like that, right? And that's the one, that's like the quest that always happens in the game where like there's like a hidden higher level encounter right in the starting town that you would have never suspected, right? That kind of thing. Like, like how in the original, the red and blue Pokemon, you had to go back to, what was this? Oh, shoot. Oh, wow, that's embarrassing. I'm forgetting the town. Whatever one is where Giovanni's gym is. Is that Viridian? I think it's Viridian. I don't know. I'm blanking. That's embarrassing. It's been man. That's gonna have to be my next playthrough or something, man. Jeez. Once we're done with the Mass Effect, apparently I gotta play Pokemon again. It's been too long. At any rate, you gotta go back there for Giovanni, right? Which and then eventually you go from there to the to Victory Road. So it's like you gotta go back to these places that were like surprise, secretly hiding. Some sort of some really difficult battles, and so you just we can do that. We can throw something in the lake there, and then maybe like the final shrine, and maybe this is part of why Eodris is getting so touchy. Maybe you put like the final shrine that he's working on over here, or over here somewhere. That's not directly in the route, but it's like really close. Because we could do that, and we could, like, if we put the shrine right there, and then we could add, like, maybe a tribe up there and a tribe up there just to sort of have some interesting potential landmarks. And you could put, like, some side quests, some potential side quests and stuff up there. And there's places that players may or may not visit. So I'm going to put a couple placeholder items in here, I think is what I want to do. Couple placeholder dungeon markers of sorts. For later reference. Also, yeah, I want to add. Let me look and make sure I'm using stuff that I want to be using here. This would be actually a better marker to put up over here. Oh well, I'm not gonna worry about that for the moment. For right now, we're not gonna worry about that. But let's see here. So like for that shrine, I kind of want to find. I think they have. Yeah. Here we go. I want to put that right there, and I kind of want the shrine over in this corner because we've got the Cogdoral over in here. So they've got a reason to go there. They got reason to go there. They got reason to go there. We've got some. We're gonna give them a reason to go there. We're getting some good bicycle spokes out here. So I kind of want to just put one thing over here. So let's put this right here, maybe. That looks fine. And label it. We want to label this. Oh goodness. What do we want to call that place? Can call it. the shrine. I kind of want to like call it like the hall of lessons or something like that, or the learned hall, right? Because it's like what the point of it is. It's like an object that's like meant to be able to provide knowledge and understanding and context for the people of the present, so that they don't make the same mistakes as that of the past. Oh, we could call it like the Hall of Wisdom or something like that. Let's do that. Hall of Wisdom. Wisdom. Hall of Wisdom there. I like that. Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. Just wondering if I should probably shrink down the font size a little bit here. Yeah, I think that looks like it's pretty well matched. Oh, look, we've even got more of the area to use. I think I might even move it over a little bit further. Boom. And symbols. This one. Oh, like grab it.
That's how it came out.
Why are you not letting me grab this and moving it? There we go. There we go. Boom. There we go. And so you just do something like that just to like show that it's some sort of like ancient rune thing. Sounds ominous. Yeah, I mean, like every good dungeon does have a little bit of ominous essence to it, right? I mean, people aren't going to be feeling a certain sense of apprehension and nervousness about going into a dungeon that's called like Chuck E. Cheese. You know, like it's the ball pit, you know, the carnival. Like, you know, you gotta add a little bit of intimidation factor to it. Otherwise, you know, otherwise people just won't be intimidated, and that goes against the whole purpose of it. Although that would be kind of fun. Like, there would be something kind of fun about making a campaign that's just like all misdirects, where it's like full blown like carnival themed, so everything is like, this is the cotton candy fountain or whatever, and you go there and like it just produces all these like horrible cloud monsters or something like that, and it's like this weird, it's got that weird aesthetic of being like fun stuff but horrifying. But I think that's a different campaign than the one we're working on. Sounds Rick and Morty-esque. I mean, anything that's meant to disrupt standard tropes and stuff kind of fits that. That's the name of the game with that show. So I want to put that there. And before I forget about it, I want to we want to grab a dungeon template here, copy that. We're going to put one right there, and we're going to call that the Hall of Wisdom. See, the Hall of Wisdom. Right, we just want to put these placeholders there so that way we don't forget ever to put anything in there when, or to flesh anything out when the time comes. So I want to put that there. If we want to, I want to put something in the lake, but actually what I think would be kind of fun is we can grab something like this. Let's make it a bit smaller here, and zoom in so we can see it. But I kind of want to put, maybe there's like a secret waterfall or something like tucked in right there. And then we can put a label. Why I always gotta label everything? Not everything needs a label. Oh, I don't know. Just for now, we'll call it like the Waterfall Dungeon. That one's 100% just a placeholder. Check it. We wanna, let's see, I'm gonna need to font size it down a little bit here, but check it to make it a bit easier to see. But boom, right there, we can put that right there. And it's like tucked away, so you would never know that there was something there when you're in the city, because it's behind the mountain. But it's like part of the lake, and boom, 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 boom. There we go. There we go. Yeah, I really got him with that one, didn't I? I really got him there. Great. So yeah. I like that. And then I do want to. Oh wait, hold up. First, and then I think we can just boom, do another one right there, and do Waterfall Dungeon. Say, I'm gonna say, get a better name, so that way I don't forget that I don't actually want to leave it just as being called the Waterfall Dungeon. How anticlimactic would that be? You must go to the Waterfall Dungeon to find this item. It's like I don't think that leaves a whole lot to the imagination there. It just kind of tells me exactly what to do. There's no mystery involved here. Okay, do that so that way I don't accidentally change our label at all there. And so I kind of just want to put over here just like one of the Leonin tribes or something like that. Put a Leonin tribe. Sounds like death. Man, I don't know if I get immediate murder out of it, but sure. But yeah, I think I kind of want to just put like a Leonin tribe up here. I don't even know if we're gonna need it. I don't know if we're gonna use that explicitly, but well, yeah, actually, you know what? I'm gonna not put it on there. Actually, now that I think about it, just because we'll put it there if we end up needing it, but I don't know that we're gonna end up needing it. I know that I want to put something there, and I know that that's gonna be our final dungeon. So those ones are good to go, because that gives us then 4 potential places. But I feel like a Leonin tribe somewhere would be a good way to add a 5th. I don't know. I don't know exactly how many items I want the players to have to hunt down. Because you could do it, like, if we have 5 dungeons total, we could do, like, a dungeon intended for level 2, level 4, level 6, level 8, and then level 10, right? Because we're trying to have this go from levels 1 to 10. So if we set it up that way, that gives it there, and then any other location is like a side quest, experience building, treasure hunting type of event, right? So, alright. Okay. So let's go back to our overall page here. So let's just say there are 4 keys to the Hall of Wisdom. Boom. Let's say 1 with Duergar, 1 with Drow, 1 with Giants, and then 1 in Lake. And then, like, and it's not actually gonna be quite as convenient as like, oh, like each of these races has one. That's a little too blatantly Lord of the Rings, right? If it's like, if oh, one to the elves and 1 to the dwarves, it's like a little too convenient if you do it that way. It's more like 1 is in Duergar territory, 1 is in Giant territory, 1's in Drow territory, and then the 1 in the lake is kind of like in Leonin territory. So you could do something kind of like that. Maybe a motif where they have to handle the Leonins in some way, shape, or form. But I think the idea is that the dungeons are actually going to be separate from the capital cities, right, of the Drow, of the Giants, or whatever. It's going to be separate from those, because then those locations with the Drow, or with the Duergar, with the Giants, are optional places to go if they want to try and build, peaceful relations with any of them, or they can just give them a miss and go on to the actual dungeon. And it's like, maybe if they take the time with any of them, regardless of the approach they take, because the thing is if they're doing the treasure hunt in alliance with the dragon, actually the way we're writing it is they don't actually explicitly have to be in conflict with any of these other societies. So you could almost make it where it's like the cities are where they are given potential side missions, right? If they take the time to go in there, or if they're just going straight to the places, then not quite so much, So I think that's a good approach to it. I think that'll work. 1 with Duergar. Yeah. If players are cooperative with Yodris, go to obtain the items. If players are confrontational, let's see here. Hey, how's it going? Fragilitis. Fragilitis? I don't know. I'm so bad. I always feel so bad. I'm so bad at pronouncing people's screen names. And I always like feel bad because I know there's some people that like work really hard to come up with their titles, and I really don't mean to stomp all over it. But hello, welcome. Glad you're here, regardless of if I butchered your name. This guy's a terrible streamer. He just like he doesn't even mean to, and he makes fun of his audience. What an ass. Okay, let's see here. So players are confrontational. Okay, let's see here. Go to obtain the keys. That's actually, wait, hold on. I want to change how I'm structuring that. Two possible uses for each dungeon. There we go. And then we can just take these and we can just be like boop boop. Go to obtain the keys. There's a confrontational. The dungeons will have items that can weaken a dragon. So it's like if they want to get into confrontation, then maybe that's part of what they do is like if they want to take down dragon, maybe we imply like so when they're actually gonna if they're gonna actually fight Eodris, we're just gonna use an adult. I think it was a brass dragon that we settled on. I don't remember, and I'm not gonna pull it up at this exact moment. But like the idea is that like if they're when they fight him, he's like an adult dragon, but like maybe it can be implied that this is an ancient dragon more so, right? We'd have to edit his background history a little bit, but really not that much. We just change the timeline because there's plenty of time for him to become an ancient dragon within those like 2,000 years of everything happening. So, but we would have to like change that up a little bit. But if we do that, yeah, because then it's like they have to get the items and that'll weaken them and that'll like kind of let them earn a fight with an adult dragon or something like that, you know, and it's like kind of BS because it's going to be the same kind of no matter what they do. But that way it kind of gives them that ominous sense of like, oh, we better take this seriously, right? And it's like when they go to try and create alliances with the other races, if that's what they're going to try and do, then the races will say, like, any of them will say, like, you want to obtain, you know, you should get this, that, or the other item, you know? And it's just like in the dungeons, the final item is either a key or it's like, you know, the magical staff of wing clipping or whatever to like, you know, to put limits on Eodris' power. And so it's like, yeah, so it's like either way, and so that just lets us set it up so that way we don't have to do double duty and create double the amount of stuff in this map for them to have to go through, right? And since this is already going to be kind of a big situation, or a big campaign with lots of dungeons and everything, I think that's a really good thing to do, to not overwhelm ourselves with too much stuff to have to create. Let's see here. So, sent by whatever faction leaders, direct them to find the items in agreement for assistance handling the giant, right? We'll just say DM can conveniently make all of them know all of the leaders know any of the info as needed. So you just kind of you know, hand wave a little bit to get exactly what you need going based on what the players kind of end up doing. So that's good. So I like this, actually. I like this. I feel like this is a bit more cohesive. I think it's a bit easier to follow, which is going to be important for players, right? So it's like if they want to get political intrigue and, you know, use conflicts between the Duergar and the Drow, if they want to do that, we've put the baselines there so they can do that. But if they don't care, if they just want something nice and simple, then one way or another, all they got to do is go get the items. Because if they don't care to do political dealings with any of the other Drow or Duergar or whatever giants, then you just make it so that they go back to the, you know, the human, it's not all humans, but you know what I mean, the human city, and someone there can give them the information about the items used to weaken a dragon. So they don't even necessarily have to get an alliance with any of them, right? So it's like, that gives us the opportunity, that gives us the ability to really be flexible with what the players are approaching, and that is such a key element to having something that's going to be usable and appreciated by any DM. So I really like that idea, and it really incorporates everything that we had up here. So what I'm going to do, yeah, that's what I want to do. So yeah, this really does incorporate everything we've already talked about here. Wow, I don't know what that was all about. But it doesn't matter because we're just going to delete it anyway. And what I want to do here is I'm just going to grab this, cut it out right here, paste that all in place. There we go. So that's our main goals, and then side mission ideas, side goals. We've already kind of got those there. Yeah, so it's like we can have like some separate political dealings going on with there, and they can do that as part of trying to accomplish what they're doing with the dragon, or they can just do it for fun if it doesn't really play any bearing, and it can just be side quests that they choose to ignore if that's what they want to do. You know, it really frees up a lot of potential combinations of doing this and not this, doing all of it, doing none of it. You know, it gives us a lot of options there. Yeah, I think this is good. I think this is going to be really functional. Yeah. I really like this. I think this is going to work. So I'm just trying to think if there's any other stuff that I want to get right now as part of this because what I'm going to do is I'm going to start stepping out just sort of a generalized stepping out like a sort of rough plot point of what stuff they'll maybe approach at what levels, you know. I think that's what I want to do. Yeah. Okay, so so we've got the goals there. So let's go ahead and make a new section actually. That's how I want to organize this. So we go boom, boom. That's a main campaign steps, and we're just gonna call it that, main campaign steps. I think that'll work really well. Yeah, so let's see here. And so I'm just going to go ahead and number it 1. Players first encounter Eodris. And we'll say, and we can actually make this as like possible session 1. So like the idea is like throw them kind of in the thick of it, right? So let's see here. Sorry, mustache hair. It's a weird thing. Sometimes mustache hairs kind of get loose, and just somehow or another they just kind of end up there in the mouth, and it's like, ugh, not pleasant. Let's see here. So players, stop doing 2 P's. Players are part of the expedition crew when it is approached by Eodris. let's see here. DM will do a lot of yes. We'll do a lot of yes and role play, but usher players towards one of two options based on their attitudes through it all. Right, and so those two options are, hold on. Oh. It's thunder. It's thunder from the storm. I thought someone was knocking on my door. No, it's just thunder. It's just thunder. It's just something that could damage property. It's not my landlord or anything. Okay, let's see here. Eodris can explain about the legend of the Hall of Wisdom. And you just do it like that, right? Like, that's all you do is, like, say, explain the legend of the Hall of Wisdom and how it, actually, let's not even say, yeah, well, yeah, legend of the Hall of Wisdom. And then I'm going to do one of my things that I talk about doing a lot, where it's like you do parentheses and highlight, or I do brackets just because I think it's, I don't know, prettier, I guess. I don't know. That's not really what they're used for. Eodris can explain the legend of the Hall of Wisdom. He has been to the hall, but it is locked right out. A legend about the hall and what is inside. So it's like, this is something that'll be an important enough plot point that we'll want to actually, like, create a legend or something like that. You know, like an old wives' tale or a fairy tale type of legend for the players to hear from Eodris, if that's the approach they take. And his desire to have it unlocked, will agree to let the road construction, or the road let the expedition, let's just say expedition, dang it damn it, agree to let the expedition continue if players get him into the hall. Either that, or B, Eodris will threaten to kill everyone that is part of the expedition if they continue their work. Let's say if this happens, a scholar back in and now's where I regret my own dickishness here. Novo Troikladny. See if I can remember how to spell it here in one go. Novo Troikladny? Damn it. Damn it, why would I do this to myself? Novo Troikladny. Hladny. Where is it? Novo Troikladny. Oh wow, I pretty much had it there, didn't I? Look at me go. Alright, Scott will instead give players legend of items that weaken dragons. So it's like whatever they establish based on their attitude, we're going to give them a legend that either says find these keys or find these items of power to kill a dragon. Right? Like that's the first part of it. Let's see. So part 2. Players may need to research where to find. Oh no. Oh no. Can I reach it? Oh no. Ah. Oh gosh, I've got a back itch. But it's okay. It's okay, everybody. Everything's gonna be fine. My back itches, but I've got a back scratcher. Just come on, get under the collar there. Oh, there it is. There it is. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is good entertainment, isn't it? Oh. Sometimes you just need a good back scratch. Boom, telescoping. It's like a little bear claw too. See? Look at that. I don't remember how long I've had that thing. I feel like I've had that thing since college, which is further away than I am comfortable remembering. All right. Anyway, just need to research where to find items. Provide one at. Let's see. Our players. Let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. Players will need help from Scholar in Novotroikladny. So players will need help from Scholar to identify. Scholar will need time and can provide locations. Provide locations one at a time. There we go. And so that's how you can kind of force the railroad, even though it is sandboxy. And if they want to go to multiple places, that way, the one good thing about railroading, at least the order in which they find the dungeons, is that you can make sure that they are approaching the dungeons at an appropriate level without having to redesign all of the dungeons multiple times to handle multiple different potential levels of the players. Right? That's the good news about railroading it this way. But that's also why you provide a whole lot of other side quests and stuff that have them explore a region, so that way it feels more sandboxy rather than railroady. So I think this will be good. Scholar will need time and can provide locations one at a time. First is the let's say first is the dungeon. Let's see here. First is, how do I want to say this? First is on the mountain tops somewhere in giant territory. Players will be able. Let's see, in giant territory. Locals know that giants exist, but rumors of a friendlier tribe, where they're directly east of the city, right? Yeah, pretty much directly east. So we'll say rumors of a friendlier tribe that lives along the river to the east. Players can try using survival checks and pathfinding to we'll find out some way to make it so it's like not too impossible with the mechanics of 5e, but players can try using survival checks and pathfinding to hunt for the item on their own, or can approach and work with the giants for help. And it's like if they approach the giants, that'll give them the opportunity for a lot of other side quests, as well as providing them a more direct route to the dungeon, right? And so players can kind of make their choices, and it'll be kind of funny to see, because even though we know that at least that tribe of giants are perfectly friendly. Well, not perfectly friendly, potentially friendly. But they're gonna have like so much doubt about that. Same with the Durgar and the Drow. Like they're gonna have so much doubt about that. So it'll be fun to see whether or not they decide to trust their own, communication skills, or, or not, and just try and do it on their own. It'll be interesting to kind of see that. So let's see here. So yeah, players can try using survival checks, pathfinding to hunt for the item on their own. Okay. Second is in the mountains in Durgar territory. So this one's going to be a little different. Rather than having the sort of the previous knowledge of possible like giant tribes and stuff like that. That's not going to be the case for this one. They're not going to know it at all. Always fun subverting player expectations. I live for that. I live for that. I live for the curveballs. That's how you as the DM have fun, is screwing with your players and messing them up. Because they'll all start to think that they're so clever and can predict everything that's going to happen, and you can really smack them down quick from that one. It's perfect. So second is in the mountains in Durgar territory. It is not known that the Durgar are here. Players only know it is somewhere in the ancient dwarven tunnels, right? So it's like, and then again, may work with Durgar once identified, or can try and go it alone. Boom. And it's just like basically you like I say, we'll have to kind of workshop some mechanics or a system for that, but gives them the option to just kind of do it on their own. And what my thought is, what we would do is whatever sort of side quest dungeons we would make around here, you just put those onto a random table and have the players roll. They'll do like a survival check, and based on the success of the survival check, like suppose we have 6 potential locations, and then have them do their survival check, and if they succeed, they roll a they roll a d4 and only pick from like 4 of those, and one of those being the correct one. If they don't succeed, then you have them roll like a d20, right? And they have to get it. Like you can manipulate the dice, like which dice they roll to try and find it. So it's like it improves their odds of finding it or something like that. But yeah. So that's the second one. So third is going to be the Drow. Is in the Siski Forest with forest in Drow territory. So this is kind of going to end up being the same thing. Unknown, players won't know Drow are there unless encountered with dwarves. So it's like they might know. Players only know it's in ancient elven territory. There we go. It's an ancient elven territory. And then again, may work with Drow or not, their choice. So it's like getting shorter every time because I'm tired of writing the same thing over and over again. And so then let's say here, fourth is let's see here. So we'll say fourth is in the lake, but there is a misdirect. You could do something like that, right? So it's like clue hints. Well, I guess I don't really want to do a misdirect for that. So we'll just say fourth is in a lakeside cave. Dave, Lakeside Dave. That sounds like a guy who's just like a retired guy in a rich person's beachside community. You know, that like, you know, he's just like, he just does the same thing. He just fishes off the side of the lake every day, and that's what he does in his retirement, and everyone just calls him Lakeside Dave. That's what it sounds like. Anyway, fourth is in a lakeside cave. Not in anyone's territory, but filled with nasties. Let's do that. I don't know what I would fill it with, but it could be filled with some stuff. I'm pretty sure that's what she said. Don't quote me on it. Fourth is in lakeside cave. Not anyone's territory, but filled with nasties. There's like not even anything else to say about it. It's definitely what she said. Okay, I appreciate it. I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought he remembered that, because it sounded so much like what she said, you know. Fourth is in a lakeside cave, not in anyone's territory, but filled with nasties. We'll do this. Consider a misdirect that it's already been taken Half-Blood Prince style, and have to go elsewhere for it. Maybe Leonins have it. Maybe it's I don't know, maybe it flowed out into the lake into the lake or something like that. You know, I don't know. That's just a thought process. Maybe that'll be edited in later, right? For this in a lakeside cave, and then final step is approaching the shrine. Let's see here. If cooperating with Yodris will have knowledge of shrine location from the dragon. If fighting Yodris, will need to speak to Scholar once more. It's turning into, actually, you know what this is turning into? This is really turning into Paper Mario 1000 Year Door, where you have to keep talking to the professor and he'll give you your next target. That's what this is slowly turning into. Whether I intended for it to or not, that's where it's going. But truthfully, I actually am not that bothered by it. I'm okay with this. Give me 1 second here really quickly. Just gotta check something real quick like. Okay. I think I'm good. Okay. Let's see here. We'll need to... Wow. I just, like, absolutely butchered the spelling of Yodris. That's embarrassing. It's my own character. I can't even spell it. This is what I get for trying to be all cheeky and clever with names. It's just I'm just a fool. I'm gonna not even say approaching the shrine. We're just gonna say is entering the shrine. From the dragon, and will fight a monstrosity. And will fight Yodris. Boom. There we go. I actually really like this idea. I really like this idea where it's like, depending on what route they take, will change who the final boss is. right? Like, I really like this. I think this will actually be really interesting. I think it'll be good. I think it'll be really good. Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, you know, honestly, for a campaign like that, for just like a full like a main mission there, I think that's really good. That gives us, as far as dungeons go, you know, we're talking again like it spans 10 levels, so we don't want nothing, but we don't want to like overwhelm it and have players be at level 10 by the time they get to, you know, the Duergar. You know, we got to try and balance it. But I think the way it's set up right now, the players will have, let's see, 1, 2, 5. We'll have 5 big, like 5 main dungeons with like a boss or a demi-boss in it, right? So it's like if we structure those to be our like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 level increments, and then have, you know, the in-between times filled up with appropriate level side quests that they can find from whatever the nearest civilization is, you can do it that way. Or if players are kind of skipping that, then you as a DM just kind of fudge things and say like, oh, well, we're going to do, oh, excuse me. We're going to do, like, not, like landmark based. I don't know, that's not quite right. Event-based leveling as opposed to experience-based, you know, so it's just like if they're skipping all the side missions, it's just like, okay, you beat this thing, you now need to be up to this level, as opposed to doing the experience. Or if they're a group that's all about like going and doing everything, then they'll, you know, then you can stick to like XP or whatever. I don't know. It's that's the type of stuff that's up to the DM. And what I think is great about this is that this, the way this is organized, it will largely give a lot of people a lot of options on how they want to approach everything. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this. I think this is gonna end up being a really good. Oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry. So sorry. This will end up being a really good campaign. And this will be good. I think this will end up being fun. But that kind of accomplishes what I wanted to do with this today. And I'm looking at the time, and it's a little early, which is kind of a shame, but we're at such a solid stopping point. I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and call it a writing stream and take my break, my post-writing pre-video gaming break here now, and come back in like 15-20 minutes to play some Mass Effect 2. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think we're going to do that because a lot of times, because I mean, pretty typically I make it so that my break eats into Mass Effect 2 time or whatever video game I'm playing. But this time, let's have it eat into the world writing because I think we're just at the conclusion. I think this is what I wanted to accomplish today, and I think there's no reason to try and make up something else to do for these last 15 minutes, since that's not really going to be enough time to actually get anything done at this level. So yeah, I think that's good. We'll do that. So thank you to everyone who stopped by today. I appreciate you guys. Glad you guys find what I'm working on interesting. It will forever be flattering to me that people are interested in what I'm writing and want to hear about my process and want to just, generally speaking, hang out with me while I'm working on this stuff in general. I think it's a really cool atmosphere. It makes it a whole lot of fun for me, so I really appreciate it. Like I say, Mass Effect, I'll be streaming that up in, maybe about 15-20 minutes after this ends. Tomorrow, I will probably have some time to do some streaming, but Saturdays are just kind of a free-for-all based on my energy and my availability and what I feel like doing. So I may or may not do some writing tomorrow. We'll find out. You guys will find out roughly 30 seconds after I do, because it'll be just an impulse like, yeah, we'll do this today. Why not? Type of decision. So that's so possibly writing tomorrow, but definitely writing will be back on Monday. I do not appear to have anything that'll stop me from doing that on Monday with you guys. So look forward to that coming up. And join. Oh yeah, I got my Discord self-plug. Join the Discord, chat with us, share homebrew D&D ideas, all that kind of stuff. It's fun place for fun sharing of stuff with each other. So yeah, if that's something you're interested in, check out the Discord link on my channel. Other than that, that's what I got. Again, thank you so much for stopping by. If you're gonna hang out for video games, I'll see ya in like I say, 15-20 minutes, something like that. Just give myself a little bit of a break. Or if not, then I'll maybe see you either this weekend or on Monday. But either way, regardless of when the next time I see you is, I appreciate each and every one of you. Y'all are cool people, and I appreciate each and every one of you. So keep being cool people. I can't wait to see you again. Until then, take care of yourselves, and yeah, I will be back shortly. Where's that end stream button? There it is.